Hi everyone, this is Balázs from RacingBrick. The highly anticipated Concorde review is here. The set arrived a bit late, I had technical issues, but now I can show you all the interesting details of the build and I promise there will be a lot of them, so let's get started. I'm not going to waste much time on the box today, it looks great in person too. I already talked about all the details on the outside in my preview video. You can watch it by clicking on the link in the top right corner. Let's see what's inside. The set has 2083 pieces, the price is €200 or dollars, and you can buy it on lego.com starting the 4th of September. You can find the link above and below. If you decide to buy the set through my links, then you also support the channel, thank you for that. There are 21 numbered bags inside with 21 building phases, that's unusual, a single small paper bag and an envelope. The envelope is glued, apparently there are no more tapes here and no sticker sheet either inside. The white airplane on the white background is honestly a bit underwhelming. At the beginning, the Concorde is briefly introduced and we can see a photo of the French prototype. On the next two pages there are a few more technical details with some interesting bits of information. Then a few words from the LEGO design team and some close-up shots that we could already see in the press package. And that's it, we can start building right away. To be honest, I was expecting a few more details. After all, this is one of the most innovative passenger planes of all time, but hopefully we will get some information during the build. Here is the part list if you are interested. Now let's start building. It's unusual to have relatively small bags for each step, so the contents of the entire bag 1 is ready in just a few minutes. Apparently we will start with the wings, which will be built sideways. The real fun starts here with this rather unusual little Technic assembly. There's a 22th gear in the center, but this thing looks odd. The grey cross axles are held by the orange half beam. I don't know what's going on here. Here is the worm gear that is supposed to drive the mechanism, but everything is blocked. I'm confused. Anyway, this thing goes here and back 2 is finished with these fairings that contain the actuators controlling the elevons on the real aircraft. Here is a fairly big panel with tiles to cover this center section, and now the mystery of the blocked mechanism is solved. We have to remove the orange assembly and the cross axles can now rotate freely. Apparently this was only there temporarily to stabilize the assembly. Here parts are added in several different directions, everything has its exact purpose, a very interesting section to build. The way we close this hole with the toggle and socket reminds me of the tricks in the Speed Champions sets, very cool. Unexpectedly, orange parts appear, I assume these are the innards of the engines. A little trick here, then a much bigger one there. These complex assemblies trigger the main landing gear mechanism once completed. Here's another funky connection. Here we have these modified 1x1s with the handlebars. It is used to connect to the headlight piece and hold the assembly in place. Time to add our first printed tile. The red stripe on the side is partially brick built and partially printed. Here's a clever setup to hide the parts of the landing gear mechanism. These slopes were introduced this year and are new in white. They clearly help to shape the Concorde's iconic ogival delta wings. A little trick in the corner, axle holes, a pinhole, and the axle with stop and the cheese slope to fill the gap. It really feels like building a giant white wall. Oh wow, another unexpected move. Apparently the orange things were just stabilizers to keep the structure vertical, we need to remove them. You might know these parts from train sets, now they form the upper part of the fuselage with some window prints on them. We will have some action going on inside the assembly, and here's a riddle for you. The orange connector is used for the drive shaft, that's fine, but how can it be used for this assembly? Have any of you used it for this purpose before? If so, let me know in the comments. There are tons of great building tricks in this set, you can learn a lot. Time to put this assembly in place, we are at the end of bag 7. This thing here is built to hold the fuselage and the big delta wing together. And the stabilizers are back, time to build upright again. Studs and brackets on all sides, and apparently the fate of all orange parts is to be removed, although these are coming back, but maybe it's something temporary. As we go back to horizontal, this thing gets bigger and bigger. I'm building a new section in phase 9, it's a little repetitive. And again, those orange parts, I'm not sure I trust them anymore. This red tube is attached to the axle as a safety clutch. If anything gets stuck, it spins freely so the components don't get stressed. And on the next page the reason is explained. It is also used to synchronize the front and rear landing gear. There are some pretty tricky things here, studs are all over the place, things are mounted upside down, and the crazy solutions don't even stop. This is probably the most complex non-Technic set I've ever built. This here becomes the wheel well of the nose landing gear and the mechanism that controls it. Time to put things together, end of bag 10. And now we have some relaxed plate and brick stacking, we even have 2x4s. Now we are going big, connecting the construction to the huge chunk we built earlier. Oops, it might be better if you don't try to lift it yet, it needs a few more pieces to make it more stable, it's better now. These cabin top pieces are fixed in place with the long cross axles with stops. This makes it super secure and stable, but it will be a pain to disassemble. Time for some microscale trickery. I know this part, featured in last year's Speed Champion sets, was extremely useful, but I never thought it can become a toilet as well. And the theme doesn't stop there, because we get the Technic toilet paper roll pieces in a very special color to serve as a seat. And I am no longer surprised at all, because the orange support comes off. 26 parts to cover the bottom of the plane, and of back 12. Time to extend the main landing gear so we can mount all 8 wheels. Again, an innovative use of parts, just a few pieces, but I never would have thought of that. We also add the front landing gear, and then we can test how the two work together when we turn the axle in the back. We've covered the top, and here comes the removable middle section of the fuselage to fill the gap. It doesn't show very well, but that will soon become one of the engines. Now it really looks like the real deal. We just need to add a few more parts to the rear, and it's done. Now it just needs to be installed, and then comes the other one. We start building the nose section with this knot assembly, then it gets more complicated, and now comes the tricky part, just a single click of range to move, but how cool is that? Here's the custom printed windshield with a matching transparent brick behind it, and check this one out. Here we have that red 1x1, then the special part that attaches to the bracket and sits at a certain angle, then the whole thing clicks into place, it is covered by the printed elements, and now it's time to open the paper bag that contains one of the new elements of the set, the visor. A few more tricky connections, then comes the second new part for the nose cone, and when we have everything in place, we have the fully functional iconic droop snoot. Yes, you know, the snoot would droop. These are the ports providing static air pressure data to the aircraft. Now all we have to do is to cover the gaps, and the front part is done. The rear section brings back a bit of the Technic vibe. I may sound a bit boring by now, but this set really surprises me on every other page and just can't stop impressing. Here comes the tail bumper wheel required for takeoff and landing, and you will witness another very cool building technique where these two parts come together at a certain angle. Things get properly covered, and now it's time to install the tail section, but before that we need to move this black cross axle. The tail also gets a cone that will be used to control the landing gear. A few small details need to be added, then it's time to install the elevons, all 6 of them, and then the last exercise is to build a huge vertical stabilizer with the split rudder and install it. Okay, this may not be the end of the build yet, as we still have the stand, which of course will be built sideways, a very sturdy construction I must say, and here is the beautifully printed gold and black plug to finish it off. Now all we have to do is put the model on the stand and we are done. Oh boy, it is huge. I will have to move it around more to fit in the screen. This build is a real beauty, it looks absolutely fantastic. And here's a fun and probably confusing detail. We have leftovers. No, not the usual tiny parts, but a whole bunch of orange elements that were used as supports at various stages of the build. The instructions don't say anything about it, so it's even more confusing. Honestly, I don't remember having leftovers like this at the end of any other LEGO sets. Can you remember seeing something like this in other sets? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but this build is massive. It's over 1 meter long, but the huge wings give it a volume that is hard to grasp. The length is comparable to the height of the Saturn V, but that one didn't feel that big at all. Here is the Space Shuttle Discovery for comparison. I thought their appearance and construction would be similar, but the Concorde outperformed the Space Shuttle in every way. Yes, the Technic Leap-Air crane still feels bigger, but the Concorde's horizontal footprint is substantial. The functions work pretty well. We have to turn the cone at the back end to control the landing gear. The rudders and elevons can be adjusted manually, just like the tail bumper wheel. And of course we have the droop snoot to play with. The center section of the cabin can be removed to expose the details. This might be a bit tricky since parts are attached to the top and putting it back might require some careful positioning as well. The Concorde looks beautiful on its stand, but it can also stand on its wheels. Despite the size of the build, it is surprisingly difficult to tip the stand over, but it's not impossible of course, so you will have to be careful. The build is also very sturdy, I'm impressed. With those huge single layer wings, I thought they would be super fragile, but that's not the case. The aircraft is totally swooshable, the only limitation is the sheer size. I think you could already tell that I fell in love with this set. I have said that the Walt Disney Tribute camera is my favorite system build so far in 2023. Well, we definitely have a new king that will be hard to beat. I'm sure there are some details that some people won't like. The massive wings don't look very uniform from this angle because so many parts were used, but they are absolutely necessary for the structural integrity and details below. The red stripe looks very nice overall, but that end section looks a bit out of place when you look at the model from the side, as the fuselage narrows here. The adjustable nose cone is ingenious, but not technically correct, as the protective visor is supposed to be able to sink into the nose section. It serves as a protection at supersonic speeds. Honestly, I think it still looks great. This is a functionality that simply cannot be done at this scale. There were a lot of complaints under my preview about the livery itself. Why couldn't LEGO give us British Airways or Air France liveries? Well, I think the answer lies in the question itself. If they made a plane with one or the other, then there would still be a lot of people left disappointed. There is no information in the manual about the livery. I did my research, but I might be wrong. Apparently it's a mix of the prototype livery and one of the British Airways paint schemes. I'm not exactly sure why they decided to go with this one. For most people, I'm sure it will be perfectly fine, but some aviation enthusiasts won't like it. All in all, this amazing set is a great tribute to the engineering marvel that was the Concorde. It provides a unique and interesting building experience and ends up being a very attractive display piece. The biggest issue for some might be the sheer size. Finding a place to display it might be a challenge. I always say that I like the Speed Champion sets because of their attention to detail and all the crazy building techniques squeezed into a small form factor. This set felt like building a whole fleet of Speed Champion sets. As for the price, I think $200 is reasonable for such a huge set, and let's not forget that this is LEGO.com's recommended retail price. I'm sure other retailers will be able to offer it at a discount soon. I really can't recommend this set enough to anyone who likes interesting LEGO builds, or planes, or both. It is really the highlight of the year for me. Please let me know your thoughts, folks, in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe with notifications as more exciting LEGO videos are coming soon. See you next time, bye bye.